Shalom Alaikum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Dar Al-Hijrah this morning. You're here for Friends Over 50. This is our first senior program for the fall. You don't have to be a senior to be here. We all know seniors. We all have mothers and fathers, aunties, neighbors, friends who might benefit. So we welcome you. This is a terrific series. We have a different speaker and different topic each week, and you can get all kinds of great information to use or to take back to the seniors in your life. So welcome and thank you for being here. If you're just walking in, please make sure that you sign in there at the table. Please make sure that you sign in at the table. And please help yourself to something to eat this morning. I want to let you know that on the 26th of this month, which is not next week, but I think the week after, we're having a very special Friends Over 50. Our speaker is from the Prevention of Blindness Society, and he'll be talking about aging eyes and macular degeneration. But then after the talk at 12 o'clock in the library from 12 to 3, they will also be offering free glaucoma screenings for seniors, and they will also have a free reading glass clinic. So if you need reading glasses, you're able to get them that day from the Prevention of Blindness Society for free. That's on the 26th. So please mark your calendars and make sure that you join us on that day. I think that's in 2 weeks. September 26. I also want to remind you, if you're on social media at all, please follow us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. And you will get the most current information about all of the programs and events and classes that are being offered through social services. If you follow DAH Social Services, D-A-H, like Dar Al-Hijrah, social services page on Facebook, that's the best way to get all of the information about everything that's happening. And there is a lot happening, and we want to make sure you're included and you join us for all these wonderful things. So please follow us on Facebook. Also, remember to follow the Dar Al-Hijrah YouTube channel. Some of you see Brother Yusuf here every week recording these sessions. If you have family members who are homebound, they can't come, maybe they're sick or even they're working or they have small kids and they can't get out, for whatever reason, they can watch the session on YouTube and still get all of the information. So that's a great way to tune in as well. We have as many people who watch the sessions as we do that come in person and join us. They just don't get Idrisi's delicious breakfast. I want to remind you too that last year from you, we heard that transportation is a challenge for you. So in response, we started a volunteer driving program at Dar Al-Hijrah. This is called DAH Rides. And the way it works is we have volunteer drivers who come to us and they go through an orientation. We do a background check on them. And then if you're someone who needs a ride, you can enroll, sign up in the program, and you'll be in the program. When you need a ride, you call the number for DAH Rides. You're calling the ride coordinator, and that person, Hala, the ride coordinator, will put your ride in the system, in the scheduling software, and if one of the volunteers is available, they'll say, yes, I can take that ride, and they'll take the ride, and then they'll call you and they'll pick you up. So if you need to get to the doctor or the pharmacist or get groceries or come to Dar Al-Hijrah for a program or run an errand, they can pick you up and give you a ride for free. It is not a taxi service. It's not an Uber service. It works a little bit differently, but you can still get free rides to run your errands. So if that's something that you think would help you, or if you know someone who's homebound and you think it would help them, please talk with Hala in the social services office about that, and we can get you signed up. I also want to remind you that this Saturday, we're restarting our Saturday Community Health Days. You'll find this postcard at your seat. It's in English and Arabic. This Saturday, remember, this Saturday and every Saturday from 12 to 3 in the social services building. You want to come in the side entrance, which is that door over by the playground. Every Saturday between 12 and 3, you can get free blood pressure checks, free sugar checks. You may have a chance to talk to a doctor. We have lots of health literature, and we have lots of special sessions. So at least once a month, we'll have a special session. Some of those have included ultrasound breast cancer screenings, vision screenings, memory screenings, hearing screenings, dental screenings. So watch for those special screenings again on social media, but stop by any Saturday for your free wellness check. Also, if you are uninsured or undocumented and you come to our health day, we can give you a referral to primary care, even if you are uninsured and undocumented. So that's a great resource for you. I also want to remind you that we have just started our family engagement series. This is a series for parents with children in the schools. If you know families, if you know parents who have children in the schools, this is a weekly session on Tuesdays to help them connect with the resources in the schools that are available to them. So for example, the first session was an overview of the Parent Resource Center in Dunn-Loring. Last week, we invited over 25 principals and parent liaisons and social workers from the schools to meet the families. And we're having Officer Eddie from the Mason District come and talk about anti-bullying and gang prevention. We have someone coming from the organization called PTSI that will help you if your child has learning disabilities or an IEP. They can help you navigate all of that. So these are great resources for anyone who has kids in the schools. And that's the same format. It's at 10:30 on Tuesdays. Light breakfast is served, and the whole thing is over by noon. So if you're able to join us on Tuesdays for that program, please join us as well. Next week for this session, our Friends Over 50, we have a speaker from AARP, who's talking about identity theft and fraud and helping seniors especially be vigilant about that and not succumb to the scams that are out there. But this week we have two very special guests. Many of you will recognize Allison Colby, a dear, dear friend from the Culmore Clinic, one of those places that will treat you even if you're only if you're uninsured and even if you're undocumented. Allison's going to talk today about diabetes prevention and management. Does anyone know where Al-Hijrah, where Culmore Clinic started? Anyone? It started here at Al-Hijrah. The Culmore Clinic started in Al-Hijrah. So we have a long-standing partnership with Culmore Clinic. They're dear friends to us. But before Allison talks to you about diabetes, we have a special guest. Eduardo Mentilla is from Neighborhood Health. This is the system of federally qualified clinics around the area who treat the low-income patients and uninsured patients. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about those clinics, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer your questions as well. Okay? Does anyone have any questions right now? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to them, and we'll get started.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you guys about Neighborhood Health. Once again, my name is Eduardo Mantilla Torres. I have been with Neighborhood Health for 17 years. I started in 2002, and I really enjoy what I do, and that is coming out into the community and informing the community what is that we do and how can we provide the services that we provide to all. So Neighborhood Health has been doing this for about 22 years. It started in a very small one-bedroom apartment, and the first year we saw 1,400 patients, 1,400. As of last year, we've seen, March of this year, we have seen close to 25,000 patients. This right here, which is this table, has information about all of our 7 clinics. From one-bedroom apartment, now we have 7 medical clinics and 4 dental clinics. So altogether, there are about 12 sites that we have. And I say 12 because we also have a bus in the city of Alexandria that goes from school to provide dental care. If you wish to become a patient of ours, first of all, do you guys know about the CHCN clinics? The clinics from the Fairfax County? No? One was in South County, and the other one at Merrifield, or they used to call it also Bailey's Clinic. So we are now, the administrators of those clinics. For all of our sites, for all of our clinics, for all of our services, the only requirement is that families present the proof of income. Based on your income, we put you on a sliding scale, and a medical visit, a physical, a sick visit, it starts at $15, and it goes up to $58, okay? Each of our clinics have someone who can also help you apply for Medicaid, if you have children, also for FAMOUS. So if you're eligible, we want to make sure that you receive that benefit because it covers pretty much everything. If you reside in Fairfax, anywhere, you can go also to the local Department of Human Services. You can go on Cover VA and find out if you're eligible or not. But you should always find what's available to you, and if you're indeed eligible, you should apply, okay? So if you're not eligible for insurance, we'll see you here, regardless of insurance or not. If your children have health insurance or someone in your family has health insurance, we also accept health insurances, everything. If you have Affordable Care Act, Obamacare with a high deductible, we can put you on a sliding scale and charge you also according to our slide, not according to your deductible. When it comes to primary care, that starts from pediatrics, from birth all the way to, I think our oldest patient is a little bit about 102 years old. So we see everyone, children, adolescents, men, women, everyone is welcome, okay? This flyer will give you information about the services that we provide. Again, everything that's medical, and then on the back, dental. We do not have any type of a specialty care, such as a cardiologist, an ENT, an allergist, but we do have a safety network where we will refer you. Each of our sites has a referral coordinator that can help you with that. We work closely with different hospitals also, where we will refer you and assist you with financial aid applications, so you don't have to pay, or you pay just a little amount when you go to those to receive those services. Okay. When it comes to dental, our dental program is comprehensive. We do the screening, the cleaning, digital X-rays, filling, and extractions. Anything beyond that, we refer you out. That's pretty much it. Any questions about our services, the enrollment process? We have to refer you out for that. Dentures, bridges, implants, unfortunately, we cannot do that. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we see everyone. We see patients who come all the way from Chantilly, from Fredericksburg. So everyone is pretty much welcome, okay? And also, FYI, if you have family members who are in Reston, in Manassas, Woodbridge, Dumfries, please know that there's 3 clinics such as ours, such as Neighborhood Health. We call them sister clinics. That is the Greater Prince William Federally Qualified Health Center, HealthWorks, which covers Reston, Herndon, Chantilly, and the Greater Prince William is Dumfries, Woodbridge, Manassas. And we're here, City of Alexandria, Arlington, part of Fairfax, South County, and now we're also at Merrifield, which is pretty close to the Inova Fairfax Hospital. Yes, ma'am. When you're able, go ahead and grab one of these. Again, it gives you all of the sites. There's only one telephone number. When you call, our call center will be able to direct you to the site that you want. I'm going to have 2 more questions, and then I have to. They're very good. So we have doctors who speak English, Spanish, Urdu, couple more languages. It all depends where you go, right? We have doctors, male and female doctors. So, and I get sometimes questions like that. Do they work for you? Are they volunteers? All of our doctors are in our payroll, so they're all employed by us. Unfortunately, no. So we have, again, our safety network. We will refer them out. The specialist will charge a fee, a flat fee, which is usually not that high, but that's usually only the first visit. After that, it's up to them. Unfortunately, we have no control on that. Yeah. All right, thank you very much, and feel free to give us a call. So the comment that the lady just made is that a lot of people might be afraid to come to a clinic because of on the news, everything about immigration. We do not ask or require any type of immigration statuses. We don't ask for it. We don't care about that. We're here to provide medical care. So, and whatever information we have, we do not share that with anyone unless you, the patient, tells us, please give this to my specialty care, to my doctor, or otherwise none of that is shared. Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Unfortunately, I don't. If you already have a doctor, and the doctor is telling you that you need surgery, they can refer you to INOVA, the Virginia Hospital Center, or UVA, and they have financial aid which you can apply for. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? There we go. Good morning. I'm Allison Colby, and I'm the director of the Colmore Clinic. So I know it's a little confusing. We're both here speaking about free clinics and healthcare for you. So I'm trying to give you a little overview of our relationship. As Stacy said, we are a free clinic for adults right here in your neighborhood. So we started here at Al-Hijrah, and we have moved several times since then. In 2007, I believe we started here. And right now, our current location is right across the street. This is the one you were talking about at First Christian Church. We're in the basement there. You'll see the sign boards out front, Colmore Clinic. So we are a little bit different than Neighborhood House, but we are much, much smaller. So we will refer you to Neighborhood House as a partner if you need more care than we can provide right here in the neighborhood. But that being said, we are able to provide primary care for you, medications, lab work, specialty care, to an extent, the same as Neighborhood House. We do our best to connect you with a specialist that you need, but if we can't find it for you, we work with our partners to help get you that care. So think of us all as kind of connected network for you, and we work together to get everyone better access and primary health care. So one thing that I will mention, then we'll talk more about diabetes, but you mentioned the residency, the location. Because we work with partners in Fairfax County, it helps you as a patient if you live in Fairfax County, because some of our partners, like the hospital systems, they require that you're a Fairfax County resident. We do not, but it's helpful. So if you live in Arlington or Alexandria, we would recommend other free clinics in those locations so you get more comprehensive care. So specific things like that, we can talk. If you want to still come here, we can probably work that out. But that's one of the reasons why we say it's helpful if you're from Fairfax, so that we can keep you with our partners in the community. If you would like to become a patient at Colmore Clinic, you just need to be uninsured. So we do not accept insurance, unlike Neighborhood House. We are totally uninsured. And you need to be under a certain percentage of the federal poverty level. So we need your income information. But that's it as well. So we don't ask anything about immigration, or where you live besides are you in the county, so that we can better serve you. So I'm happy to answer more questions about Colmore Clinic as well, specifically. This is just a little bit about us. We are a nonprofit organization, and as I said, we serve those who are uninsured for primary care for adults only. And we're a small clinic, so as I said, we refer out as needed, but the nice thing about it is that we are right here in Bailey's Crossroads in Colmore, so that if transportation is an issue or you want to be close by to your primary care, we're able to do that here for you. So some things that we provide, as I said, basic medical services, your primary care services. We have counseling. We're able to do laboratory work. We're able to do blood work. We have a physical therapist who is from the Al-Hijrah community. Dr. Mustafa comes to see patients on Thursdays with us, and several other programs that we offer, including a diabetes class once a month. And so I'm here as part of that to give you some information that we would give our diabetic patients at our once-a-month class, just to give you some background on what is diabetes, how do we prevent it, how do we treat it, and then give you an idea of what we do at the clinic if you wanted to come for educational sessions there. So we'll just get right into diabetes. Let's start with what is diabetes. Okay, so does anyone, raise your hand if you, well, you don't have to raise your hand, but how about, does anyone know someone with diabetes? Who knows someone with diabetes, or knows a family member or a friend or is affected by diabetes in some way? So it's very prevalent, and it's growing, right? So many of us either have diabetes ourselves, or we know someone with diabetes. So it's helpful to know what it is exactly and how do we prevent it and treat it. So diabetes is when there's sugar, which we call glucose, in your blood that's not being able to be used by your bodies as energy. So we eat food, we take in sugar so that our bodies can use it as energy and move and be active and exercise. But what happens in diabetes is you don't have the capacity to get the sugar into the cells where they belong. So the cells are the places where the energy is used. And insulin is the key to opening the cell to getting the sugar in. So if we want to use sugar properly, we need insulin to let it in. Does that make sense? So they work together. Without insulin to let the sugar into the cell, the sugar stays in the blood. So most people with diabetes have type 2 diabetes, which is at any age, but it's typically later in life because it's something that is occurring either because your body is not using the insulin well as you age, your pancreas isn't working to produce the insulin, to make the insulin for your body, or weight or exercise or lifestyle are affecting it. So there are many things that could cause it. So there are many things that contribute to diabetes, different organs in your body that make it worse or better or make you more likely to have diabetes, and they all work together. So it's important to know that you can be affected by diabetes because of your pancreas, because of your kidneys, because of the muscles and the liver, and all of these things in turn are affected by high sugar in your body. And so we use medications to treat at each of these places to help you lower the sugar in your body. So there are three things I want to share with you today, kind of the ABCs of diabetes, right? The A is A1C. Does anyone know what A1C means or stands for? What's your A1C level? So it's a measurement of your blood sugar. When you prick your finger and you check your blood sugar, you get a number, right? And it's usually somewhere between 70 and maybe 200, maybe more if you have diabetes. That's your fasting blood sugar or your immediate blood sugar. The A1C is a different kind of number. It's a 3-month average of your blood sugars. So it's not going to be in that 70 to 200 range. It's going to be a percentage, and it's usually anywhere from 5 to 10 or more, if you have diabetes. And so we check that every 3 months. It tells us how much sugar is in your bloodstream, and your blood cells change every 3 months. And so that's when we can measure that as a different change. So the goal for this A1C number is below 7, okay? If you have diabetes, we want it below 7. If it's completely normal, there's no history of diabetes, you want it below 6. So there's a range that we look at. And in this chart, we'll show you if your A1C number is around 6, then your average glucose, your average sugar that you check with your finger, is going to be around 126. Okay, so if you're checking your sugar at home and it's around 180, 200, then you know your A1C is probably around 8 or 9, which is too high when you have diabetes. So we check this every 3 months to see where you are in your diabetes. Does anybody have any questions about that? How we find out about diabetes and how we look at it? It's different. Yeah, so the comment is that she checks her blood sugar, and it's usually in the morning around 100 or 120, but it changes. And there are different reasons why it might change, probably depending on what you ate the day before and what kind of exercise or how active you were, because your body uses the sugar or uses your food differently depending on how active you are. So if your sugar is usually around 120, then you're probably A1C is about 6 or maybe 7, and that's okay. That's good. So that's a specific question we'd have to talk with your doctor about. But it sounds like, you have diabetes because it's higher than typical, but that it's controlled. Okay? So this is a picture view as well. So this is an artery. So you see it here. So this is like your veins and your arteries that hold your blood. Inside there, that tube, that your veins, are these little red blood cells. They're circles. Okay? These are the red circles. The purple dots are the sugar. The sugar wants to be inside the red circles. Okay, that's how that's how you use it in your body. When you have diabetes, there's too much outside. There's too much outside those circles, and so it's in your bloodstream, and it's causing problems. It clogs them up and makes it slower for your blood to move around. So that's just a picture view of how we see the blood test. They actually look at the blood, and they can see this in a microscope. They can see that there's too much sugar around the blood cell. So that's A, the ABCs of diabetes. The A is A1C. That's something we need to know about. The B is blood pressure. Because the sugar is in your bloodstream and it's causing it to be slower, when your blood pressure is higher, you're at more of a risk to have a problem with those arteries because you have two things that are affecting the arteries. So blood pressure is very important when you have diabetes. The goal for your blood pressure when you have diabetes is to be under 140/80. And that changes often. The goal changes. Sometimes they say 130, sometimes they say 90. But if you're under that level, close to 120/80, 130/80, then we consider that okay. As this says, the blood vessels work harder when the blood is thicker from the sugar, and so then you're adding to that a high pressure of your blood pressure, and that puts you at risk for things like stroke and heart attack. And so that's our job as the clinics and your doctors to prevent those things for you. If we lower the blood pressure, there's not as much problem on the arteries themselves. So how can you check that? You could have a machine at home that you can buy at the pharmacy. At our clinic, we give them out to patients who have high sugar or high blood pressure so that you can check it at home. So you put the cuff over your arm, you press a button, and it squeezes and gives you your blood pressure. And that way we know we can get an average of your blood pressures rather than just one measurement in our office. So that's very important, and a way that you can take hold of your own health and be proactive and making sure that you're checking your own blood pressure and blood sugar when you have diabetes. So again, another picture of an artery, right? So these arteries, now that they have too much sugar in them, they also have too much pressure against the walls. And so you can imagine that that's going to cause a problem, and then it could burst or it could get clogged. So a lot of things can happen in the arteries when you have multiple things building up there. Okay, so we're on to C, A, B, C, right? A1C, blood pressure, cholesterol. So it's going to sound very similar. We're still talking about the inside of an artery in your body. The cholesterol can build up there as well. So when cholesterol builds up in your bloodstream, it puts more pressure on that blood vessel, and it can lead to heart attack and stroke. There are different kinds of blood pressure, of cholesterol rather. So when we do a blood test, we get 3 or 4 measurements. We get a total cholesterol in your body, and then we get it broken down into pieces. So we get the LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. We get the HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and we get the triglycerides. So looking at each one of those, the LDL is the bad kind of cholesterol that sticks to your arteries, and it builds up and makes little bubbles that prevent blood flow from happening. Okay? The HDL is the good cholesterol, which means it actually sticks to the LDL and forces it through the system. So it kind of carries it out for you. So the higher your HDL, the better for your body, because it helps you to balance the LDL. Does that make sense? Questions about that? Okay. So then there's a third type, the triglycerides. And the triglycerides are two things put together. So it's sugar and part cholesterol in one piece. So when you have diabetes, a lot of times we see people with high sugar have high triglycerides because it's part sugar. So it will tell us sometimes before we even know that you have diabetes, we might check your cholesterol and see your triglycerides are high. That makes us look at your sugar, and sometimes that's high as well. So as you control your sugar, your cholesterol triglycerides might come down as well. Okay? And then those are the numbers there where we like to see them. So for the LDL, the bad cholesterol, we like that under 100. And the good cholesterol, we like it to be over 40 or over 50. And for the triglycerides, we like to have them under 150. Okay? For the triglycerides and the LDL, you can lower those by lowering the cholesterols that you eat a lot of the time. Some people have a genetic predisposition to high cholesterol, and their body just makes more of it, regardless of your diet. But some people, you can change your diet, lower it in fried foods, fatty foods, meat with lots of fat on it, or cheeses, some dairy products. We can lower the cholesterol there. The HDL, you can increase that by good fats. So there are such things as good fats, so like plant fats, nuts, avocados, oils, olive oils, really are good for your body. Fish has good fats in it, and that will help to increase your HDL. Also exercise. So the more you exercise, the more you walk, exactly, the higher your HDL will be, and also the more you lose weight when you walk more, and that will help everything, your blood pressure, your sugar, your cholesterol. It's really a healthy weight and exercise will do a lot for your body. Okay, so here we are, another picture of our artery here. The top one is a normal artery, okay? The blood cells, the red blood cells are just flying through there, no problem. The second one has some cholesterol buildup. You can see what it looks like. It actually gets inside the layer of the wall of the artery and stays there, okay? If you have high blood pressure and high cholesterol, like the middle one, the high pressure goes through and keeps going over that bump, and it might open it, it might tear it, and that's the point where you get a clot or something that comes out and prevents, the third picture, prevents blood flow from going through it all. And that's where we get heart attack and stroke and things like that at the very extreme end. So this is the picture in our mind that we are trying to prevent when we're treating high cholesterol, high blood pressure, high blood sugar. Okay, to review, if you have diabetes, these are the three of the things that you really want to be measuring and watching, and also three things that you can do yourself to help to take care of your health. So watch your A1C. That means you need to go to your provider once every 3 months at least, because we like to check that sugar every 3 months, the A1C. That gives us a chance to check in with you and make sure that we're catching something before it gets too far down the line. The blood pressure, you can check that at home. You don't have to check it every day, but often enough in a week that you have an idea of what's the average of your blood pressure most of the time. Cholesterol, that you can check when you come in every 3 months for your appointments, and we'll make sure that we're controlling that as well. So that if you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, high sugar, Those are a lot of risk factors, and that can be dangerous. The good news is we can treat all of those, and we can treat them all with lifestyle changes first. We don't have to treat them with medication. In fact, the studies show that there's more of a better result if you treat it with diet and exercise, weight loss, and watching your sugars than medicine alone. And so we try to do that first, and that's something that you have control over. And then some people's pancreas just doesn't produce the insulin, and so that's when we have to add the medications to help. And that's not a fault of anybody's, but it's just how your body works. But we do our best to avoid that. Yes. So the question was, she has high cholesterol, and sometimes she forgets her medication. Is that right? Oh, you have pain in your feet. So that's it's a good question. Some of the medications that we use can have side effects. And so it could be a side effect of the medication, or it could be a side effect of blood sugar. So blood sugar, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute, there are some complications of high blood sugar and diabetes that can tell you maybe that you have diabetes, because you're not always going to feel your blood sugar is high. This is the problem. You're not going to feel that your cholesterol is high. You may not feel that your blood pressure is high, but if you don't check it, then you won't know. And you won't know until too late if one of these things happens. So this is what we were saying. Living well with diabetes means you can change things in your own life to protect yourself. So a low carbohydrate diet, things that are low in breads, pasta, rice, tortillas, crackers, so things that have these bread products in them, lots of flour. You can have a higher protein diet. Vegetables and fiber are good for you. Drinking lots of water during the day. Your body is made up of mostly water, so you need to replace it. And it also helps you to maintain a healthy diet when you're drinking enough water. Avoid sugar in your drinks, because that can be a place that it's hiding. You don't think that you're eating something sugary because you're just having a drink, but juice, a lot of times teas, soda, of course, can have a lot of sugar in it. Exercise, as we talked about, any kind of exercise. If you don't exercise at all, you don't have to go out and run a marathon to make a difference, right? So start walking. Start taking 5 minutes. 10 minutes a day, and it all adds up. So if you don't have time to make a 30-minute walk, you take 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, and that counts. It doesn't all have to be together. So if you are walking someplace, or if you choose to take the stairs instead of an elevator, these are all good choices for more exercise and moving your body. Okay, and quit smoking. So all of those pictures of the artery, every one of those things, blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol, puts a stress on your arteries. Smoking makes it even worse. So smoking affects the arteries and makes them very frail and easy to break. And so that's the worst thing you can do for an artery that's already under pressure. So stop smoking. So these are the complications, some things that we see in diabetes. The top 3 places in your body that are affected by diabetes are the eyes, the kidneys, and the nerves. And that's because the arteries that supply those organs are very small. And so they easily get clogged up with sugar when you have high sugar. So in your eyes, we recommend that you have a yearly eye exam by a professional who can dilate the eyes and look back into them for any problems that might be happening. In the kidneys, we check that with a urine test once a year, and we check for protein in the urine. If you have damage to your kidneys, there's going to be protein that comes through into the urine. Usually that stays in the body, but if you have a problem with the kidneys, the protein comes through. And then in your feet, so the first place usually that you have nerve problems is either in the feet or the hands. And so sometimes folks have tingling or numbness or pain, like a burning sensation in your hands and your feet because your sugar is so high. And so that's a sign sometimes that we need to treat the sugar. All of these things can be treated until it gets to a certain point, right? So at some point, we've gone too far, which is why prevention is the best medicine. And you can live a very long, healthy life with diabetes as long as it's controlled. That's what we want to help you with. So we talked a little bit about this. How do we treat diabetes? Well, number one, we start with diet and exercise. We don't want to give you medication if we don't need to. And we want to give you the opportunity to improve your health. And then if that's not working, if the body is not responding, we go with oral medications, with pills that we can use. And if that's not working, it means your pancreas in your body is not producing any insulin. And remember, at the very beginning, we need the insulin to open the cell to put the sugar in. And so if we don't have insulin in our body, we have to inject it. That's the only way the sugar gets into the cell. So that's our next step. If we see that none of our measures are working, we have to use insulin. And it's not as hard as it looks once you get used to it. It's actually a very good method if your body needs it. Okay? So I've talked a lot. I'm happy to take questions. In our classes, we have a lot of hands-on things that we do together. We find that talking to each other about diabetes and our experiences is very helpful. So I'm happy to open it up for any questions or to talk through experiences that you've had. I also have some of our toys here. We have fake food that gives you an idea of portion size. So this is a piece of chicken. Should be about the size of your fist, okay? And it works pretty well because for men, you can eat a little bit more than for women, and a lot of times men's hands are a little bit bigger, so it fits your body. So for whoever you are, about the size of a fist is a portion of protein. So this is chicken, this is fish. It's about the same, right? This is another source of protein is cheese, right? So even cubes of cheese, 1 ounce of cheese is 1 serving, and that's about the size of your fist. It's a lot less than what you are served at a restaurant or that we serve each other when we're having a gathering. And so oftentimes it's hard to cut back to an actual serving size. So we like to give an opportunity, like this is pasta, you can see. This is a half of a cup of pasta. This is 1 serving. So if you have diabetes and we tell you, you may have 1 serving of carbohydrates, of something like bread or pasta, with 2 meals a day, not 3. So this would be your serving for your breakfast or your lunch or dinner. That's not very much, right? We're used to a lot more than that. And so it's difficult to train yourself to know what the portions are, but it will help a lot. So, questions? Do you want to come up and see the salmon's very good. Most fish actually is very good. It all comes to how you prepare it. Okay, so the fillets of fish, any kind of fish that are not breaded or fried. So if you bake it, or if you put it in a pan with a little bit of oil, or you even put it on the grill, fish is very good for you, as long as you don't add too much around it. And I like to tell people, if you have a plate, let me see, did I bring one? I don't think I brought a plate. If you have a plate, you cut it in half, right? And half of a plate, oh, thank you. Oh, perfect. So this one's already cut up for us. So this half should be fruits and vegetables. All fruits and vegetables. Fresh fruits, vegetables, frozen is fine, canned is fine. Watch the salt on that. But fruits and vegetables. This quarter should be protein. So one of these little guys fits very well in here. That's about a protein size, right? And then one over here is carbohydrate, right? So that fits well here. So we're not filling up our plate with pasta and putting a couple pieces of chicken on top. We're filling our plate with fruits and vegetables, a small side of pasta, and then our chicken or our fish here as well. And if you're going to have more of something, do more of the protein or the fruits and vegetables and keep out the side. So that's an easy way for you to go anywhere you are, and you can yourself give a little bit of portion control to what you're eating. If you're in a restaurant and they give you the whole plate of pasta, you take half of it home, and then you have more, or you share it. And it's an easy way to cut it in half. So things you can do. That's a good question. So did you hear, if you have to cut sugar out of your diet, does it include honey and fruit and natural sugars? For some people it does, but I like to say there are so many things you can cut out before going to that. Start there. So anything that's a carbohydrate or a real sweet, so like the rice, the pasta, the breads, the drinks with sugar in them, or adding extra sugar. If you cut all of those things out, you can probably still have any of the fruits that you like and a little bit of honey on the top too. But it's the other things, the processed sugar, that makes a bigger difference. And probably you're eating more of that anyways, and so if you cut that out, it'll make a bigger difference. Yes. Organic sugar is still sugar. So it may have fewer of the pesticides or toxins, but it's still sugar. It's better than sugar, but it's still sugar. So I would say try not to add the extra sugar. Brown sugar is still sugar. It's a little more natural of a version, but it's still sugar. So in moderation, I say you're not going to change your diet completely. You're not going to go and eat something totally different that you've never eaten before, and you're not going to completely cut out the things that you love. And that's not what we're saying, because then you can do that for a few days, but then you're going to go back and eat that thing. Like I love macaroni and cheese. I cannot give up macaroni and cheese. If I do for a week, I go back and I eat a lot of macaroni and cheese, right? So, I let myself have it a little bit at a time. And so those favorite foods of yours are going to be there for you, but you have to cut them down a little bit and then exercise to balance it out. That's a good question. So the question is childhood diabetes the same as diabetes type 1? So unfortunately, this is changing. So it used to be that we called diabetes type 1 childhood diabetes, because it's something that the body, there's a dysfunction with the pancreas, and it happens early in life, and so we catch it in children because it's a pancreas problem. They're not producing insulin. But diabetes type 2 can happen because of being overweight and not eating the right things. And we're seeing children who are so overweight that they're getting diabetes type 2. And so it can happen in children type 2, but typically we see diabetes type 1 earlier. So the question is it reversible? And I like to say it's like you're in remission, right? So it can be reversible to the point where your body is better able to process the sugar because you've watched your diet and you've lost weight and you're keeping on top of it. But you're still at risk for it coming back if you're not taking care of yourself, right? So you could be living with diabetes. We call it living with diabetes that's controlled. Type 1 is not reversible, right? So we're talking about type 2 here. Yeah. And so you can live with type 2 diabetes and not be taking medication, but you still need to go every 3 months to your provider, check your sugar, keep on top of your diet, and that kind of thing. So it's not cured, but you reverse the negative effects of it. It's a good question too. If parents have diabetes, will the kids have it too? So there are a couple of factors to that. There are some genetic predispositions to diabetes. So sometimes you can have it in your genes in your family that you might be you might develop it. A lot of times, parents and kids will have it together because of lifestyle. So if you are an adult and you're eating a lot of carbohydrates and you're not exercising very much, maybe your children are following in that pattern, and you may all have diabetes because of that. The good news there is that if you change some of your habits, which is hard, it's not an easy fix, but it's a fix without medication, then you can all improve your sugar. Yes. Oh, stevia sugar? So that is an artificial sugar, an artificial sweetener. So that's not sugar. So that would be okay. We still say try to avoid those kinds of things as well, because they can have kind of bad side effects because they're artificial. But it's better than sugar when you're talking about diabetes. Yes. Thank you. This has been a great discussion. I hope that it's been helpful for you. I'm happy to answer any other questions. And I've left some materials here. On your tables, there's a flyer that says, "What is diabetes?" There's another one with the plate, an example of what we talked about with the plate. And then this one is about reducing your risk of diabetes. So and while you have diabetes, reducing your risk of heart problems, and some activities that you can do on the back. So I'll leave these here. Yes?
Who is pancreas in the game of diabetes?
That's a good question. So the question is, who is pancreas in the diabetes game? So the pancreas is the organ in the body. It lives right in here, kind of in the middle of your stomach, that produces the insulin. And as we said in the beginning, the insulin is what opens the cell to let the sugar in. So if there's no insulin, your sugar stays in your blood. So if the pancreas is not working, it's not producing insulin, that will control the sugar. So we have to give you an injection of insulin instead of using your body's insulin.
So the pancreas should be happy.
Yes, we have to keep the pancreas happy.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
So now what are the things that can make the pancreas happy?
Oh, these are good questions. Some people, the pancreas just is born not happy. So that's unfortunate, and we have to go ahead and give them insulin. But for some people, your weight and your diet puts pressure on the pancreas, because you can have extra fatty cells and cholesterol inside your body. And if it goes onto the pancreas and causes it stress, then it's not going to produce insulin as well.
Once I was sitting in a doctor's line,
Mm-hmm.
waiting lobby,
Mm-hmm.
and a car doctor was there, and he was telling people that if they can use the fenugreek and dill
Mm-hmm.
together,
Mm-hmm.
that will make the pancreas happy, and it will be as good as insulin.
Wow.
And was a star doctor to the patient,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not an allopathic doctor,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a herbal doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So the herb, the fenugreek, as well as dill,
Mm-hmm.
these are biblical herbs that
Mm-hmm.
are used around the world.
I would be interested to see that.
They call it ilba.
Uh-huh.
In Arabic, they call it ilba.
Uh-huh.
And the dill, of course, is the
Right.
like
Uh-huh. I know them.
hair like me.
Right.
And Iranians use it for the rice.
Uh-huh.
So does Egyptian.
Right. Right.
So
So that's interesting. Maybe if you put dill with rice,
yeah,
it counteracts the dill helps with your sugar and the rice doesn't. So then you have in the middle. That's very interesting. I have not heard that, so I would like to research that.
it has so many good effects
Mm-hmm.
that it is ever so good effects on energy.
Good. Thank you. I'm learning things here too. Anyone else? So he was asking about herbal supplements or herbal how improvements to your sugar, and he mentioned that he's heard that dill and fenugreek are things that could help the pancreas. That's not something that I had heard of, but I will take a look. It's cinnamon, yes. Cinnamon, I have seen studies about cinnamon. It helps you to process the sugar better. It's not an alternative to insulin, but it helps your body to use the sugar better. Mm-hmm.
Can I just remind everyone
your blood pressure or your sugar checked for free this Saturday. Remember, the community health day starts this Saturday, 12 to 3. Free blood pressure and sugar checks in the social services building. Come in the side door, which is the playground, the door by the playground there. I also want to remind you, next week, next Thursday, we're restarting our family nutrition class. That's an 8-week class, and it gets into a little bit deeper dive on some of these good things that Allison talked about. Portion size, how to read the nutrition label, how to shop, healthy recipes, staying active. Very, very good class. You have to speak English to take the class because there is some writing, journaling that has to be done. But if you're available for that class, that's a great class too. So keep those two things in mind.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And if you do get your blood pressure or your sugar checked on Saturday and it's very high, then Stacy and the team works with the Colmore Clinic so that you could come to us and become a patient and have primary care services. So we're happy to be a partner in the community. So thank you for being here. And I'm happy to see you again soon, hopefully.